Oh, hit it. No, wait. Let me give y'all this link real quick.
This video has been removed by the user.
Sucks. It's amateur hour. All right,
That's what it is. It's all right.
That's the link for like the chat thing. All right, we live. You see? Make sure. It's amateur hour.
Netflix.
Right,
That's what it is. It's all right.
All right, I do hear y'all. And we live. Part 3.
I think it's working. Holy shit.
Yeah, it is working.
Why are we talking about Netflix?
It says chat is disabled though.
Oh my
no.
gosh.
Netflix.
It shouldn't be. Are you logged in? He's the stupidest.
I can hear both of y'all now.
You have to mute that.
All right.
Somebody's got to mute it. It's very loud. Is the chat live now?
Audio unofficial? Who's that?
No.
No.
Let me see.
Netflix.
Oh my god.
Do you see a chat though?
Everybody has sound. Who's Sundown Audio unofficial?
You're better off.
Sundown Unofficial is actually Derek.
Oh, okay.
Wait,
Y'all said
see
They
it?
said everybody's audio is working.
Y'all see comments? I mean chats?
No.
Yeah,
Where?
I do. Everybody has sound. Tommy K says, "Oh my God,
Oh,
hi."
I see it. Wait, sorry.
Oh, there we go. I got the chat now. I think we're going to get some of our conversation on there. That
Yeah.
While I was downstairs.
Yeah.
It might.
Uncensored. Oh, that's funny.
Alright, that should be the
Oh, you
chat.
spelled Tommy K with a K-A-Y. That's hilarious.
Let me try one more thing. We live, y'all can talk.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm just trying
Actually,
stuff.
I'm live, buddy. Go play.
Anybody in the chat, give us another confirmation that we are all live and in color with sound, and we'll get going. Oh, look, 52 Chevy. We can all hear you. All right.
Man, so I can't see
That's fantastic. What are you doing, Skip?
I can't see the chat.
I can.
Yeah.
I had to go back to the channel and click the video again to see it.
Yeah, you got to start the new one.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, while Skip gets caught up, let's pick up where we were, and tell us how all this got started, man. Just start from the beginning, for real, like day one.
Right. Well, I guess not that terribly exciting, or maybe it is.
To us, it is.
I just felt like I could do a better job than what was out there, and I knew I wanted to start a company of some kind. Honestly, I didn't know that I was going to start an audio company probably till like 2005. And then, I started planning. I already knew a lot of guys in the business. I'm friends with Dan Wiggins and like Scotty Johnson, Nick Wright from Incriminator. I've actually known him for probably 4 years longer than I've been in the business, so I had connections. I was like, I think I can do this better. I think I can offer something to the community. So
were you like, I'll stop you right there. Were you like a bass head in the meantime, like running Incriminator type stuff?
I was a hobbyist, and actually what I was running at the time when I started Sundown was a stereo integrity subwoofers.
What? Hang on. Hold up. I thought that was like a sideline of Sundown type thing.
Man. Nick's been in business a lot longer than I have. He started in like 2001 or 2002. So like 4 or 5 years longer than me. And he was my roommate in college, and that's me and him learned a lot of what we know together.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, so you're running stereo integrity, and you're like the average bass head.
Yeah.
So what'd you study in college, if you don't mind me asking?
I did some electronics engineering technology, but that was basically all digital circuits, and it bored me out of my mind. So I was doing really well. I had a 4.0. I was a third year in, and I just quit.
Well, as we do sometimes.
Yeah. And I was like, well, I'm going to go back to school for something. So I took some time off, got a job at a small company. Actually learned a lot about running a business by working at a small company. And I was like, man, I think I could run a business, and I had some ideas of things I wanted to do. So I got up a little bit of startup capital from friends and family, and I got my first 2 amps out, which was the 1500 and the 100.2.
The 1500 and the 100.2. What were they called then? SAZ? SAE?
Yeah, SAZ 1500D and SAX 100.2.
Where'd you come up with that?
Yeah, where's the name? How'd you come up with Sundown?
Sundown is actually from an old 70s rock song that my dad has on a record. I listened to it when I was a kid. The song is called Hurry Sundown by the Outlaws.
There it is.
That is hard-hitting journalism right there.
Nobody, I don't think, no way nobody knows that.
No, for real. I have been following Jacob on the forums for what, 10 or 12 years?
Yeah.
Yep.
I've never heard that.
I've been using the screen name Sundown for 21 years.
Jeez.
That's fantastic.
So even before the company, huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So what's with the Z? What's the fascination with the Z?
I mean, I just really like that letter. I don't know. That's just kind of random.
I mean, it's a pretty cool letter. Pretty cool letter.
And I can't call it like an SAK because that's like sack, and everybody like, oh, it blows sack.
I blew a sack.
Dude, I remember when there was a thread on the forum. You were trying to name the SCB, and you went down like a list like this long of possible names, and every single one of them was terrible.
It's terrible.
Every one of them was like sack or some horrible acronym.
SAD sad.
There's no acronym that makes SA cool except Z.
No.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And you used to warranty them at half ohm for a little while too. I remember that, huh?
Yeah, we did. And I don't want to like encourage people to do crazy stuff, but we actually warranty almost all amplifiers that get sent back to us.
Wow. No matter what? Just
almost. Like if you send us an amp back, it looks like you drug it with a chain behind your truck for 100 miles. We're gonna question you. If you send it back and you're like, hey, this is the problem I had, and it looks like you actually cared about how it was installed, we're pretty much gonna believe you on an amp. It's a lot easier to tell on a woofer. If it's clearly been on fire, we're like, okay, well, that's not a defect.
I ran it at 2 ohms clean. I said it.
What? There are woofer warranties. How's that even a thing? It seems like if woofers are bad, it's obviously user error, too much power, clipping.
I mean, generally, yeah, but you might see like a glue joint failure, like where the spider glues to the basket. Like if that comes off, we're going to warranty that. If your motor shifts, we're going to warranty that. Unless like there's a big chunk out of the magnet clearly you dropped it. But sometimes the motor shifts. It just just some sort of defect, and we take care of it, or any adhesive related failure, anything that we did.
Full disclosure, I have seen an adhesive related failure when we did the what was it? The ZV.
The ZV4.
Was it the 4? The ZVD.
I know my yard.
That might have been way back in the day when we were still going through the adhesion with that surround.
Yeah.
Right.
And we found out a lot at that time, and I see people still bring it up. One guy was like, "Remember?"
They do. Yeah.
So
it was.
This is what happened. I tested this surround. We got our prototypes right. And prototypes are low volume. So we got prototypes. We built it. We used the same glue we always use. Everything was great. So then we ordered mass production. The supplier didn't really say anything different. They just, here you go. So what I found out later, what the problem was, is because they were trying to build a bunch of surrounds quickly. It's really hard to get those huge surrounds out of the mold. So they would put a mold release agent in the mold, and and that mold release agent doesn't allow the glue to work. So what the solution was, we actually have to clean every surround where we glue it with alcohol.
No
jeez.
Every single
that was the solution.
Yeah.
Holy hell.
I think that's the biggest reason they bring it up, because literally, you can go through every company and they'll have some kind of scandal, but y'all have zero. Like, you've never had some huge, I don't want to bring up company, some companies would order order in something and just say, oh, it didn't make customs, and just delay. But y'all have like
Right.
zero. I mean, that's the like I'm saying, like that's the only thing they can bring up. It's just
That's
Right.
it.
And that's kind of what my theory is, and we discuss it at work sometimes. I'm like, there's always going to be somebody that doesn't like you or your company for whatever reason, whatever.
Mhm.
But if they're having to try that hard
Right.
to go back that long to find that one thing, like I feel I'm okay with that, I guess.
Right.
That's pretty solid track record.
Yeah. And
And how long did it take for that little snafu? Like not even a snafu, but like just that one little hiccup to surface.
It was, we probably started seeing it about a month after we started shipping the ZB4s, and at first I was like, okay, well maybe it's isolated, maybe it's something, maybe the person put a billion watts on, I don't know. So then we started studying the issue, and we figured out what was going on, and this kind of hurt at the time, but I actually took $100,000 of ZB4 inventory and put it in the yard sale at that time
Holy hell!
because those were factory units that I knew were affected by the issue. So I just took that whole inventory and threw it in the yard sale.
jeez. And that's
Hey,
that's
Side note. The yard sale.
dude.
People
Dude.
love the yard sale. Oh my god!
I live in the yard sale.
You know
Well,
who else
I
lives
know
in the
people
yard
love it.
sale? Caco. Caco lives
You're the
by the yard sale.
if you
Yeah.
Oh my
you're
God.
the, you're
I
the,
logged in there the
Yeah.
other day, and there was like no one in there.
That's-
Everyone's just there for the yard
that's the
sale.
only thing keeping that forum alive.
For real.
Yeah. Well, I've noticed sometimes when I make a new yard sale, there could be like 2,500 people viewing it.
It's so silly. And that's
No,
an,
seriously.
that's another thing.
Crazy.
Like see, some companies they wouldn't do that. They would just throw it all out there on the market. They
Yeah.
wouldn't go through the process of saying, all right, well
Right.
this doesn't meet our standard. We're gonna hold it off and sell it at a discounted rate. They'll just throw it out there and like, all right, if this guy has a problem, we might handle it. But you know,
We do a lot of that, really. Like we have 3 people full time on test benches testing every single woofer that comes in from China.
jeez,
What?
so
Yeah, I don't know if you saw Derek did a little interview with one of
Yeah.
our test bench guys, Hunter, the other day, and that's all he does every day, 40 hours a week, is he gets woofers out of the box, he checks them, he tests them, puts a sticker in, passes them or fails them.
What?
jeez,
Holy hell! Actually, can I? I'd like to.
yeah.
You know,
Can I apply for that? Yeah.
What kind?
Dude,
I mean,
it probably gets
300.
super monotonous, but jeez,
Yeah, it's a little
What?
monotonous. We actually unpackage and test every subwoofer and every amplifier. The only stuff we don't test every unit of is our component sets
jeez.
and
that-
tweeters.
Is that for real?
Yeah.
You
That's
test
for-
every sub and every amp that comes
Everyone.
to you. Holy crap!
Like,
I did not know that.
what do
And,
what do you look for? Like, what's a? I mean, because everything I bought from yard sale has lasted till now. You know, I haven't
Right.
killed it.
Well,
I-
we're extremely particular. What we do is we take it out, and then we do a cosmetic check. You know, if there's certain things, especially depending on the price. Like the more expensive woofer, we're more picky. The cheaper woofer, some things might slide. But the first thing we look for is excessive glue around the dust cap. We don't really want a lot of that. We don't want like glue spots on the surround. We don't want blemishes on the cone, especially things from the front. Then we'll look at the basket. Sometimes we'll see like sticky finger epoxy marks from the factory. That'll be B stock, things like that. Then we take them, we hook them up to the test bench. We have a certain track that we always play, and our guys,
I love that
we
track.
teach them what to listen for. And if it makes any sounds up to complete full excursion and free air, it fails. It goes to the yard sale.
Oh, so this is not a Dayton audio test or rub and buzz bullshit.
No,
This
this is like
like-
actual. We power them to full excursion, and we play a broad range of frequencies.
Jeez,
Because some rub and buzz noises don't happen. They might not even happen at 20 hertz at full excursion, but they'll
Right.
happen at 50 hertz at half excursion.
Right.
So that's why we use that track. It has a lot of diverse sounds in it.
Mhm.
That every woofer.
Every single woofer that we've ever
Oh
shipped
my
out.
god.
Dude, like how many can you go through in a day? Like that sounds
A
so.
lot. Well, that's why we have 3 people back there.
Oh.
And sometimes, you have 3 people for 8 hours a day. You can go through, hundreds and hundreds a day.
So man, that's like so you're not selling them, like you're waiting to test them all. So that's just
That's
money waiting to be sold.
That just
Yeah.
blew
That's-
my mind.
that's amazing.
How have I never heard that before? Seriously, I'm on Facebook 20 hours a day,
Right.
been on the forums for 12 years. Yeah, how have I never heard? That's crazy.
I'm not sure, man. I mean, I know I've mentioned it, but I mean, I'm not like super vocal about it, but I'm very picky about our quality, and I'm proud of that.
Obviously,
Yeah.
obviously.
So did
So
y'all?
what's the what about the amps? How do you do that?
So every single amp comes out of the box. Again, visual inspection. It's very rare to have a cosmetic blemish on an amp, but if there is, usually it's just like some of the factory like hit it with a screwdriver or something. So those will go to B stock. There's not really a lot for yard sale amps from QC. Usually the yard sale amps are used trade-ins from our team. But anyway, so we hook them up we actually have actual subwoofers for sub amps and an actual car head unit. Put RCAs in, hook them up to the sub, play it full bore for about 10 seconds, make sure everything's cool. We turn all the knobs back and forth.
All the
Put it back in
knobs.
box. Yep.
Every amp.
Every single amp. And then for a full range amps, we actually have like full range speakers we hook up to, and we flip the crossover switches to make sure they work and things like that.
I mean, when people talk about QC, I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah.
I was in some thread on Facebook the other day, and this guy was like going off. I mean, going bananas that you should at least test 10% of the shit that comes through your blah
Right.
blah blah. And little does he know you test 100% of the things that
I mean, the
come through.
only thing we don't do is we don't amp dyno every single amp,
no.
and like a stable product. So we'll get onto that subject now. A stable product like the SCV 3000, which I approved for production like 3 or 4 years ago. And we, when we first came out, then we tested a ton of them. So I'm like, all right, this product is good to go. As long as we do the QC inspection, they play. I don't have anything to worry about. I've been doing this for 12 years. And what's going on right now, again, like I told you, Taylor, personally, I don't know 100% exactly because I'm still dealing with my factory, but we suspect that some of our specifications got mixed up and the rail voltage got lowered. Now, that doesn't do anything like when we test it and hook it up. That's nothing that you're going to hear, or anything like that. So it doesn't cause the amp to fail, doesn't cause it to be unreliable, none of that.
Right.
And, honestly, as we all know, the amp still does 3,000 watts as we promised, but it should do more than 3,000 watts.
I think people are just spoiled with your amps, honestly. I mean,
right.
That's all it is.
Well,
right. And then, so
also,
what we're doing now is
I put this out there on Facebook that, I mean, let me just put it out there again on the record that the difference between 3,000 watts or 3,100 or whatever it did at 14.4 or 14.6 or whatever it was, and 13 volts is literally a couple of hundred watts. So we're talking about a very, very small tolerance here. It's not like some huge miss that Sundown like dropped the ball.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. And obviously that's not something we want to happen, even if it's only minuscule. And so, I mean, frankly, honestly, from here on out, anytime we get a new batch in, I'm going to have the guys throw one on an amp dyno as well.
Yeah. Because you have one now.
Right. And, we've had it for a while. We just haven't done a whole lot of public stuff with it. But now, like, that there's this huge controversy, we have people being like, oh, well, no Sundown amps do what they're supposed to do, So,
none.
You miss one and it covers everything.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's why we put out the 4,000 video. You see, the 4,000 is a monster, and that's what it's supposed to be.
That's scary.
I mean, the 4K is cool and all, but the new one, the NSV2 or NS2, oh my god!
Yeah,
it's embarrassing how powerful that thing is. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I actually made all of those that I'm going to make, and so I'm going to work.
Really?
I'm going to work on my next generation big amplifier. And frankly, with the way that, lithium and technology and all that stuff is going, I'm probably never going to do a high voltage amp again.
I don't blame you.
Wow. Yeah.
I don't blame you.
It just creates a lot of headaches, really, in the amp design.
What, like 15.5? I mean, who needs one?
Right. And I can see back in the day, like, your amplifiers could only get so big, so you had to like kind of cheat the system and run 19 volts and get more power. Then that made sense back then, and also like you didn't have lithium technology, and the stuff is just crazy now with how much capacity you can have at 12 volts.
Yeah, for sure. I can't. Someone asked me to ask you about your 6-channel. Apparently, last year you were talking about
Yeah.
a pretty crazy
Well,
6-channel.
I wish I had more information on that. We've been through 3 prototypes so far. I just haven't been satisfied at all. Like we run them through our testing, and we've ended up tearing up all the prototypes. So I told the build house, I was like, look, you guys need to go back to scratch here. This is what I want, and if it doesn't do this, we're not selling it.
Right. Is the sub-channel you're unhappy with, huh?
It's just there's some kind of failure, and I'm not sure if it's just because it's a prototype or whatever. That it's not reliable. But if we blow it up on our test bench, I'm certainly not going to send it out to a customer.
Right. Yeah. 100%.
But the sub channel is going to be awesome. 6 channels staggered. When you get down to the sub channel, it'll be stable to 1 ohm stereo, so it'll be stable to 2 ohms bridge. It'll be about 1,200 watts.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I could use that like right now in my new car. So,
Right.
I'm looking forward to that.
Me too.
So what else?
Yeah.
What else do you have coming down the pipe?
Well, what you came out with amps first, and then what made you want to do a subwoofer? Like, what did you look for that you seen in the market that you didn't like? I mean, not like, but that you wanted your.
It's actually a funny story.
Here we go.
My first
Buckle
subwoofer
up.
was my E8 version 1. And
Dude, I had one of those.
the whole reason I developed that was actually Justin Thornton asked me, he wanted to do a build with like a ton of 8s. And he was like, hey man, you think you make me an 8 that's like really cheap, that's good? So then I started developing it, and then, whatever happened, plans changed. He didn't end up doing it. And I was like, man, I really like this speaker. So I made it, started selling it. And it was just a little bit after that is when I did the Nightshade version 1s. Because as you guys know, we were really big in Mecca in like 08, 09, 2010.
Right.
And a lot of our Mecca guys were like, man, I really love your amps. I would really love it if I could buy a Sundown subwoofer. And that's when the Nightshade version 1 came out.
And just took
The
over.
rest is
Yeah, it just took off. I mean,
And then it was
Where'd you
about
come
it
up
was,
with
it was,
Nightshade?
it was 1 year later after the Nightshade that I came out with the first run of SA12s.
the God sub.
Oh my God!
I can't believe you could,
Dude,
like, if you would have just kept the
standard.
version 1s, you could still sell them right now. You can still sell them right now with no version updates.
Yeah.
I mean,
The SA is the standard by
It is,
which
it is,
all
it
other
is.
subs are measured.
I mean, look how many copies are out there. Not, I mean, whatever you want to call them, are out there right now.
There's direct copies. I was told to my face in China that they're copies.
Don't tell
To
us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Factory owners told me, yeah, this is our version of your SA12.
Oh my God!
I mean, but like, how is that? It's just there's no rule. There's no like patent rules in China, or you didn't have a patent at that time for the version 1 or
I
something.
can't really patent the SA12. It's just a combination of existing technology. It's just my
So you
my
put
spin on the
put it
combination.
together?
In the right combinations.
I actually did, and this was back in 08, 09 when I was a small company. I didn't have a lot of money. I did 20 plus prototypes before I came out with that sub.
The version 1.
Oh.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, you landed
Oh
on a
my
winner.
gosh.
We all love the SA.
I mean,
Yep. The secret to the SA12 is really the SA12. What makes it what it is, it's a perfect balance between motor force, stiffness, and mass. And it's just balanced so well. And if you change any little thing, it just goes one way or the other.
But-
I'm not calling anybody out. I'm just saying this is what the results are. If I went to a 3-inch coil, right, and if I made it a copper coil, it'd be too heavy. I had to make it too stiff. That's kind of like an XFL type woofer.
Sure.
If I went to an aluminum coil, like a level 3, then in my opinion, then it's too light, and the suspension has to be too soft. And that's why I stick to a 2.5. A 2.5 copper has the exact amount of mass I want, so I can get the exact amount of stiffness that I want to correspond with the motor force to get the Q that I want.
Old Hoffman.
Yeah.
And, like, how did you? So you did electrical engineering in college. So how did you? Oh, you had friends in audio. You said for a long time.
Yeah, Dan Wiggins is actually my mentor in audio, and I basically read everything that he ever wrote on the internet.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, and I usually see him once or twice a year to this day, actually.
Jeez. So you came out with the Nightshade, came out with the SA12.
Yep.
And then it seemed like for a while, the Nightshade, that was it. Like you just, in the SA, you stuck around with that for a while before you came out with different versions or newer, not newer, but like different
Right. Well, you
models?
see, this is the thing about me. You know, we were a small company. Like, I didn't start with very much money.
Mm.
Like, I mean, I'm not trying to say anything bad about anybody, but nobody in my family is rich. You know, like I don't have any backing like that. You know, so I just had to build up from nothing.
Mm.
Well, I mean, that's most of the grams are scratching.
Yeah.
I,
What?
I'm biting my tongue
What?
on that one. Not,
So,
not because of Jacob.
so I got a
But,
funny story for you guys. You might enjoy this. Back when
Yeah.
I had my old shop, my first shop, the area where I did my like accounting and stuff was just like an old counter that was in this place. It used to be a thrift shop, and I had my little laptop on there. And the only chair that I had was like an old bar stool that was in the building. And we probably put the screws back in that thing like 5 times before I finally decided to spend the money to buy myself a chair.
that's awesome. That's
Brandon,
awesome.
Brandon was like, "Man, I'm not fixing this damn thing again. You're gonna have to buy a chair."
It's wallered out.
Yeah,
It's wallered
that sounds
out.
like something we would say.
Waller it. I get
Hey,
on.
we're all three from
Yeah.
South.
I get on
So that
Taylor.
makes it
I get on Taylor for saying "reckon" a lot.
I like Rickon.
I reckon.
It's all
I
right.
reckon you do.
He thinks I'm country when he's like, 40 miles down the road from me.
I'm from the Bayou.
And not
Hey, don't worry,
north.
man. My family's from West Virginia, so
So from the bayou to the hill.
Yeah,
That's right.
we got it all
Fantastic.
covered. So when you have
I'll
like
tell you.
you're looking for a new version, like what do you look for that says, all right, I need to add this to make it into a whole new, not a whole new speaker, but an upgrade. Like,
a lot of it. I mean, honestly, and this might sound weird. I've been in this so long, and I've listened to so many woofers in like a free air environment. It's kind of intuition at this point. I get a prototype, I plug it up, I listen to that same damn track, and I just immediately know if it's better just by hearing it.
that's crazy.
I'll tell you what, one of the biggest shocks to me in sound difference, and most end consumers probably never noticed this ever. It's when I updated my 10-inch by 3-inch coil spider. I went from just a pure linear to what we're using now. It's what I call a PG, which you guys, it's very imperceptible, but even though our spider rolls look like they're the same size, they're not anymore. They vary by about 1/10 of a millimeter per roll.
Oh, the old 10 per millimeter roll trick.
So we call it PG, and in FEA simulations, it made the suspension compliance over stroke significantly flatter. And when I first got that spider in and I listened to it free air, I had to like stop and go get everyone. I was like, "Come here right now, and listen to this thing."
That's scary. I think both of y'all's ears are just, all I hear is bass. Like, just, man,
No.
I wish I
I'll
had
tell
that.
you-
You know, like,
I'll tell you what, Jacob is he's sneaky. When he came out with the Mega Roll, is that what y'all call it?
Yeah, Mega Roll V1, man.
When the Mega Roll came out and there was all this noise and blah 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 about it doesn't play anything over 40 hertz and such. It was sort of along the same time as the glue thing, right?
Yeah.
And everyone's like blah blah blah, and Jacob, he started selling SQ woofers to the SBL crowd.
And they didn't even know.
on
He'll
Didn't
the,
even
tell you the same thing. He will tell you the same thing. You
Yeah.
were selling SQ woofers to the SBL crowd.
I still do.
Crazy linear, right? Exactly. Crazy linear. Everything is crazy linear. The Mega
Yeah.
rolls. That's why you offer the SBL surrounds.
That's right.
That to give them that little BL shift, that little suspension distortion.
Yep.
To give them that pop, that snap.
There's second order
everybody
harmonic
likes.
distortion.
That's right. It's distortion.
And you know what's
guys
really
love
funny?
distortion.
What's really
We all
funny,
do.
Taylor? When I first came out with the Mega Roll, I don't know if you recall, I got so much flack. Oh, that sounds stupid. It's so big. Guess what? Every other company sells now.
I know.
you had to be the first to jump off the ship and see if you floated. You know?
Well, this is the thing. That's exactly what I knew I wanted to make since I was in college. I said, I want to make a woofer that can move 6 inches peak to peak. And with my 18-inch frame, I actually have a technology to allow me to do that. Now I don't have a woofer that's linear to 6 inches peak to peak yet, but my 18-inch frame combined with a 12-inch spider, if I get the right motor technology, which I'm getting there with the NSV4 tech, I will be able to make a woofer that I've always dreamed of making with 6 inches of peak to peak linear travel.
Hey yo!
Bang.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what
I
I'm
remember
talking
being in college talking to Nick about it over a couple of beers. I'm like, man, I want to make a woofer that can move 6 inches peak to peak. And
You,
back then, this was even before XBL, and like so 20 millimeters linear was a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Back then, that
Yeah,
was a lot. You are you still in touch with Nick a lot?
yeah, man. We actually work together almost daily. He actually has a spot in my building right now.
No kidding.
Yeah, Nick.
No
That's Nick
kidding.
Lemon, Stereo Integrity. Yeah, me and him are like best friends.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't see nearly enough from Nick.
Nick is he's happy in his niche. He's doing actually quite well in his niche. And I know this is going to make a lot of the haters pissed off, but he makes a version of I say a version of the ZV5. He calls it HST. It's his home theater version, different suspension, coil, things like that. And he's actually sold some of those to like recording studios and stuff like that. And the recording studios, the people that make your music, say this is the truest to the recording that we've ever heard.
That's what I'm talking about. Wasn't that one? That wasn't that the woofer y'all said don't put it in a car, it plays too low.
Yeah.
Challenge accepted.
Because you're gonna be 10 dB louder at 20 than you are at 40.
You say that like it's a bad thing.
Yeah. Well, then you're gonna spread the stigma that our woofers can't play high.
Well, that you already have that stigma.
Confirmed.
That's why you build things with SPL support.
Hey, I see Kendrill's in there, in the chat.
Where is it?
Kira's daddy.
Here's Daddy. Say, oh, it's the ultimate sub. He say.
Yeah, he's been a long time customer, great guy. He does breast cancer awareness stuff.
Come on.
Wow.
Yeah, we did some pink woofers for him with SA12s a couple years ago. David Moore at PSI actually did the pink color.
I've seen those. I remember those.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's him. That's Kendrill.
That's fantastic.
Is Nick? That's who was with Obsidian, or?
Yeah, Nick ran Obsidian as well.
Man, I don't know what it is. I could be totally wrong because y'all know more technical stuff. But the Obsidian OA was amazing. It was just. I can't even find them anymore. I would buy I can't find them. You know, they just.
No,
I know he closed up or whatever. You can't even find them used. It's so crazy.
Yeah, the big problem with him was there was so many other brands coming out that were just selling for essentially no profit.
Right.
He was like, "This is not worth my time. I'm going to invest my money into SI."
Right.
You know, which was a smart decision, in my opinion.
In my decision it was. Obsidian, the woofers were fantastic. The amps never came to fruition. But the sub was a great sub.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you remember this, but it was like 10 years ago that I won a raffle of his for what does he do? Multiple
sclerosis.
Yeah, multiple sclerosis. MS. Hey, bud!
Come on in.
I won a raffle. I won a Sundown amp and some Sundown 8s and OA15. And I had all that stuff in my Titan for a while. And
we still do the MS thing every year, by the way.
Yeah?
Yeah. Our friend, a good friend of ours from college, she does a bike ride for MS benefit. And all the money that we raise goes to her MS fundraiser.
That's fantastic.
Because I'm not sure if you remember this fact, but the reason that we do that is because Nick has MS.
Yes, that's.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's what compelled me to donate.
Remember who's that? FLXX that came out.
Oh man. Oh no. Let's not talk about that.
Don't stop it.
It was off for like a month.
Yeah, well, let's be positive. I mean, the guy tried, you know, it is what it is.
I tried some of them, you know, they were decent.
We still see that stuff. We still see
it. Right.
We still see it. But, you know, it's a little easier to get away with that stuff on Facebook than it is on the forum.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, in forums, information is there to stay.
Yeah,
I still have posts I made 8 years ago, like my Hoffman's Iron Law post. I saw you saw it, Taylor.
That's right.
You know, I'm like, okay, this is some shit I said 8 years ago. that you're never going to see on Facebook because everything is just it's just
It's just
here and it's gone.
yeah,
Flicker.
yeah,
Gone.
yeah,
Gone. I hate it.
yeah. It's
I
You know, I had a
hate it.
discussion. I had a discussion with a guy a couple of days ago, and I can't remember his name honestly, but he was essentially making outrageous claims. He's like, "Oh, Sundown is robbing their customers because they literally just relabeled the old SAZ amps to SCV." And I go, "Okay, well,
That's
you're not entirely wrong. This is
right.
what we
That's
did.
fair. It's fair.
We took the SAZ board and we changed the transformer winding ratios in the power supply so that you're going to make basically the power
Where's
you
your
made at
diaper?
18 volts, but you're going to make it at 15.5."
Right.
You know, and then he seemed to be in agreement. He was like, "Oh, okay, I get it," and then he deleted that post. And then he made the same comment again later, and I'm like, "Hey, didn't we talk about this?" And he goes, "Oh, it just sounds like a bunch of snake oil to me."
What the fuck? I mean,
And then I posted a Google link. I was like, "This is how transformers work.
sure.
You know that you can change the ratio of what your input to output voltage is. You know, this is how this stuff works. This is science. You know." And the
Right.
dude was like, "Whatever."
Well, I'm not. I mean, not to compare Sundown to another company, but DD has been doing this forever, and
Mhm.
everyone knows DD's 12-volt performance, forever, and they've been voltage limited for a
Right,
long time,
right,
and that's all. That's all you'll hear about
right. You
DD.
know, and honestly, DD makes a great product.
They do.
I've owned some of their woofers in the past before I made my own.
They do. They make a great product.
I don't have any problems with what DD does, and honestly, I think it's great because their
Want some
products are
juice?
so different from mine. You know, and if that's what
Wait,
you want, that's
I'm gonna
great.
get it in a
You know,
second. Go watch your
if you're not
tablet,
going to be satisfied with mine, I might even
please.
suggest that.
I I want to actually do a test of the Neo versus a Z. You be alright with
I mean, whatever you want to do, man.
that? I was that fear or is
No,
that
no, I'm pretty confident. Our compact Neo is it's approaching probably about as strong as you can make a 3-inch coil motor.
oh
Um,
really?
if you put one of our fat 4 layers in there, you know, which is still a pretty light coil, still 4 layer, you can get a BL squared of RE of over 400.
I don't know what that means.
And that's just a 4 layer coil and like a standard size gap.
Jeez.
You know,
Oh
you
man.
can do a lot of trickery, like as you know, Taylor, like the product you were involved with, the Savage.
Yeah.
I believe that was it had a lot of L. You know, so you can get a
Lot of
crazy,
L.
you get a crazy BL squared of RE. But you know,
Yeah.
my particular design philosophy, I prefer a very very high B / low L design.
Yeah, but the L is cheaper.
It is way cheaper. Yes, you are correct. You know me. I prefer my thing, and that's what I do. You know, the Nightshade version 4 has a BL squared RE of 200
Oh,
with a
the
very.
Savage clone.
You know how hilarious that is. You have a sub with a voice coil the size of like I
A
don't
Coke
like a
bottle.
yeah
A
versus
2 liter.
our 2+2 4 layer 3-inch. You know, it's like not even close. You know, we're running a super high Gauss versus a relatively low Gauss and a high L, and people are like, oh, it's a cylinder with holes in it. It's the same shit.
You know? Oh man.
You know, a Geo Metro has 4 wheels on it, so does a Ferrari. It's the same damn
I
thing.
know. I know. It's tough. And obviously for anybody watching, they're two completely. They might look a little bit alike,
Right.
besides the fact that the Savage is no longer in production. Uh, they're way different.
Oh, absolutely. And they have totally different design goals, and I totally respect it. I thought it was a cool sub.
Yeah, it is a cool sub.
I got
It's
two,
a very
I
cool
got two.
sub.
I got two of them.
Yeah, he does.
They are cool. So
I want some of the Sundown love.
You should try an NSV4. I think you'd really like it.
You think so?
Oh, absolutely.
Actually, I need a 15. I'll test them head to head. See what's up.
Let's do it.
So
Is it a no?
I'm confused.
All right, never mind.
that's a, that's that southern slang.
Hey, All right, change. Let's change gears right here since I just saw Jacob taking a sip of whiskey. What's
Yes,
up
sir.
in the distillery, man?
Well, that's going, man. I don't know. For those that don't know, I'm starting a distillery in Maryland called H.J. Smith Distilleries with a partner. We're currently barreling products. We're barreling some whiskey, and we're also barreling a spirit, which technically you could call it a brandy, but it's not. It's not a rum like you would think. It's based on sugar. But we're going to sell it. We're going to sell a base product, and we're going to sell flavors. We've already developed salted caramel and maple mesquite with 100% natural flavoring, no chemical flavoring at all.
What?
Jeez.
How
And
long till we can buy that?
we will probably be selling in Maryland end of this year, first of next year. Unfortunately, alcohol laws in the United States date back 100 years, so it's hard for us. It's going to be a while for us to get in other states.
What?
Bring
I'm
back
driving to
prohibition.
Maryland.
You're
I'm
welcome,
driving to
man.
Maryland.
I'll meet you at the distillery. We'll get drunk.
No, for real.
So
This is happening.
Just
You
straight-
think
I
it's
don't.
a joke?
Straight from the tap.
My business partner doesn't want me to reveal his name, but he's actually a car audio guy.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah, and he is a pharmacist and a chemist. He's very intelligent.
Hang on a minute. Would we know him? If you said his name?
Cannot confirm nor deny if you would know him.
All right.
But if you come to the distillery, you'll find out.
So, all right. So, you have a distillery, and you also do the Bitcoining thing.
Yeah.
right?
The Bitcoining is my hobby. It's actually not a real business, although for some reason there's people on the internet that think that me and Coleman are the same guy.
That's not possible.
I mean, we're both white guys. They're close.
I mean, sure.
Who? It's from Coleman from CT.
Yeah,
Yeah.
somebody the other day thought that I was him.
Is that what he did? What we were talking about earlier? Like
He's doing a lot of mining, and actually, I mean, honestly, his mining is at a bigger scale than mine.
It
And I
is.
think he's really concentrating on that quite heavily. You know, as opposed to what I'm doing it as a hobby.
Mhm.
Right. You concentrate on car audio quite heavily,
Right.
and you have Bitcoin mining as a hobby. It
Right.
just happens to be a large scale
Right.
versus Coleman, who does a lot of Bitcoin mining and may or may not
I
concentrate
mean,
on
I
car
don't
audio.
I don't know a lot about his business. I mean, I really don't. I feel like that maybe he's put some people in charge of the car division. I mean, I couldn't tell you for sure at all, but I know that he's
Well-
very, very into the mining.
Well, speaking of other people that are into Bitcoin mining and don't care about their car audio business, Kevin Sundown.
That rings a bell. Yeah, it rings a bell.
I don't even know if that's how you say his name, but let's just clear the air. Clear the air, right?
You own it. You own it.
You
I do not own it.
you helped him design the very first woofer.
First
and
two
then,
products.
that was it, right?
The first two, the original VVX, the original IVX. We had an OEM relationship at that point. We did those woofers for him. Also at that time, and I can't remember the name of the website, he had a e-commerce site, and he was also a dealer for our products.
Oh, I do remember that.
Yeah, some woofers or something,
yeah.
woofers, something. The
I don't
website
know.
still exists, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
So, do you own any of Star?
No.
Does he own any of Sundown?
No.
Okay.
We've never been involved in any partnership or any collaboration of any kind other than me helping him in an OEM level with the first two woofer products.
There you go. All right.
It's lies. It's all lies.
Cleared it up right there.
Yes, sir. Should be all clear now.
You're
You would think.
You're gonna get the question tomorrow because we're gonna bring it up in somebody's heads.
I've heard that he's my brother. I've heard a lot of things, that we went to college together and then they confuse him with Nick Lemon somehow, and I'm like, they're not even close to the same guy.
Not even.
You know, it would make more sense if me and him were the even similar ages or anything like that.
But
Man.
not even.
So what's new in the pipeline? Like not even next year. Like what's future? Like 5 years down the line. Like do you look that far? Like what do you see?
Absolutely. I've actually started planning on what amplifiers I want to make 2 to 3 years from now.
Go on.
That's what I'm talking about.
Well, I'm not gonna say much because I don't want a lot of people finding out a lot of information. But I'm actually very, very early. Can't make any promises. I want to start making my top in line amplifiers in America.
That's what I'm talking about.
Wow.
I've been in talks with an engineer, and I've been in talks with a facility that can build them. But this is a minimum of a 2-year project.
Wow.
The engineer that I'm speaking to says it would probably require about 10,000 engineering hours.
What is that? Is that a lot?
It's quite a bit. It's quite a bit. But we're going to develop our own platform. Like, because see, the Korean amps are basically built on a platform, right?
Sure.
And so then you change this and that. So we're going to build our platform, and then we can change this and that, and make different power levels and all that.
Right.
And the guy that I'm speaking to he's an expert in high fidelity Class D designs, and that's what I'm going for. I want to go. I refuse to do the price thing. I'm not going to fight people on price because someone's always willing to be cheaper than you. So what I'm going to do to differentiate Sundown Audio in the future is I'm going for quality and uniqueness, and I'm going to go for made in America. So,
well, you have all that already, except
Right.
the made in America part. Except
yeah.
most of the stuff is, at what point is the assembled in America thing happening?
Right now, the X on up is 100%. The U series is about 10% right now. My goal is to take the U series to 100% by next year, and then you would just have anything with a 3-inch coil. Basically, we're going to build here.
Oh, there you go.
Jeez.
There you go.
3-inch or 4-inch.
So what's up with the U? Actually, you know what? The U kind of caught me off guard.
Bring back the ZV3.
The U's louder.
I will find out. Yeah, it hurt my feelings though. The ZV3 was the GOAT 3-inch coil.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. I love the ZV3. It's a great woofer.
It did everything well. Like there was no.
The U is actually better.
I got 2 of them behind me too.
Hey, that's what he says,
Yeah.
and he's the man.
Yep.
I mean, like
if you took a U motor and a ZV3 motor and you set them up the exact same parts, chances are the U is going to be louder.
Chances are.
Jeez.
Yeah. I mean, it could depend on your application. SPL can go a lot of ways, but the stock U coil is a 4-layer, and the ZV3 stock coil is an 8-layer. But we can actually put the ZV3 coil in the U, and the U runs a tighter gap. So like you're actually going to end up with more motor force on the U, and the U has a couple other tricks on it, which I don't want to reveal, that help in SPL and sound quality, in fact.
Oh!
Stupid. SQ for the loss. SQL. It's
I'm secretly getting all the SPL guys that have good sounding woofers. I'm telling you.
No, you're secretly selling SQ woofers to SPL people.
That's how I roll, man. You guys might not realize this, and I might not have explained myself fully, but I was actually very into sound quality as a hobbyist.
You're still very into it.
Yeah, I am, and I only really delved into SPL because SPL dudes were buying all my stuff. And so I was like, well, I mean, I need to figure out what these guys want, and let's give it to them. And so I did. And we're obviously doing really well in SPL. I want to stay humble about it, but I mean, I can't stay completely humble. But if you go to World Finals, you're going to see Sundown Audio in a very large percentage.
A lot.
And I see all these people still to this day that fail to recognize it.
Not so much on this side, even though you make a fantastic product.
I want to bring up a couple of people. We have Charles Haley. He has 2 ZV5s in his Magnum.
Yes,
amazing.
He does.
We have Mr. Flanagan as well. He has his, I believe he still has XB2s. His install is incredible. It sounds amazing.
James Michael Flanagan.
There we go.
Is the man.
I love that guy. He's cool.
Dude, if you've never seen this guy's build
does he still have the motorized port?
Yes.
Oh, that's the guy with that Trailblazer?
He's got a motorized port. He's got a LED voltmeter in his taillights. He was featured on HBO. The guy won best of show at finals.
What's amazing? Yeah. Charles Haley is also a super cool guy. You ever talk to him?
Yes.
He knows like so much like cool shit, like all this Android, Andrino integration shit he's doing. He's like showing me his phone. He's like, "Oh, I can like turn my car on and like turn the LEDs on." I'm like, "What?"
I'm telling you, dude. And I'm waiting for you to give me some SQ components. We know you sell SQ subwoofers to SPL people.
Yes, sir.
I want you to sell me some SQ components.
Well, I have some. I had some early prototype um, components that would sounded really good, but then I don't deal with that particular build house anymore. So I'm kind of starting again, and what are the kind of topology that I'm going to use is kind of an inverted Nightshade version 4. So I'm going to have a really long gap, high Gauss design, and I'm going to do underhung with it.
All right, I like underhung.
And I want to put actually the problem I have with this topology is it had too much motor force. So I'm going to put ridiculously thick shorting sleeves around it.
I have no idea what
my
this means.
my first prototype JF SQ12 had a BL spread of RE of 300 on an underhung. So I had to tone it down. The QTS was like 0.15. So I said, "Hey, let's put like a 5mm thick shorting sleeve on this thing." Inductance will be like 0.
Oh my god.
Stupid.
Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah, but the motor force was so crazy, and that's a 5-inch coil underhung design. Just the Q was like so low, and the factory guy was like, "Do you like it?" And I'm like, "I mean, we're gonna have to do something about that."
Yeah. You're gonna do something like that.
I mean, you could put it in 0.25 cubic feet ported and do all right.
I'm good with that. I'm good with that. I like that.
You use an 18-inch passive radiator.
I'm good with Hoffman. You know, I'm good with Hoffman. I will take, for anybody who's watching and is not familiar with Hoffman, you're talking about efficiency, small box, low end extension.
Don't use the word efficiency. Use sensitivity.
That's sensitivity. I'm sorry. So you can only pick 2. And lately, everybody always talks about ultra woofers. They used to do this number, blah blah blah. They did this number in humongous boxes because they had little power. These days, you want low end extension in small boxes.
You nailed it, Taylor.
I will take small boxes and low end extension every time because power is cheap. Batteries, what do you got? You got lithium now. Blah blah blah. Thank you.
I'm gonna do a plug real quick. You got excess power?
I do.
Because Scotty's the man.
I love excess power. Everybody knows I love excess power. And Skip has nothing but excess power.
I can't reveal any secrets of Scotty's, but Scotty's working on some new battery stuff, and it's going to be pretty cool.
Scotty's the man. What are you gonna do with that guy, man? He's got the best team over there.
Yeah, dude. He's doing work, man. And Scotty, you know, honestly, the first time I met Scotty, I was in college. And to me, Scotty was like a famous dude. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm meeting Scotty Johnson. This is a fact, you know. And so I meet Scotty, and he's freaking cool as shit, you know. He's like, hey, man, how's it going? I'm Scotty. And I'm like, whoa, I'm meeting Scotty Johnson. What the fuck? You know? And cool guy, super awesome. That's when he had his van with the Brom Extremes in it. And this was in Memphis, Tennessee, like 2002.
Yeah, people don't know. Scotty used to be like the truth.
Dude, it's probably still on YouTube. That video of that guy holding the window and it just goes. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and so you know, and a couple weekends ago, I went to hang out with Scotty again. You know, he invited me to his home and all that, and I was like, and I hung out with him, and I was like, this is the same guy, the same cool dude that I met the first time. You know, he's an incredibly successful guy now. It's amazing.
His Cadillac, his Cadillac's cool.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
His everything is cool.
Yeah.
You know, but the fact of the matter is, he's still a great guy. He's very humble. He's very
He is.
welcoming, very friendly, and a lot of people that would be as successful as him wouldn't be that way at this point.
That's
Oh
right.
yeah, humble is something you don't find too often anymore. It's
I
it's hard to come by.
I don't know if anybody saw this battery test I did a long time ago, but
Is it on Facebook? No, nobody's seen it.
no, it's not on Facebook.
It's on
It is
forums.
archived in the forum. So, and my conclusions, take them as you will, but my final thoughts were, you know, if you want to support car audio, you support Excess Power.
Oh, absolutely.
And I will, let me just get my little plug out there for Kevin Ross for picking up the juice box lithium battery and running with it, because Scotty did actually explore the shit a long time ago and decided that the market wouldn't support it. But Kevin re-explored it, decided that they would, and Scotty came back in, and he's given us a fantastic product.
Oh,
I will not
absolutely.
lie. Yeah, it is beautiful. It is finished. It is lovely, and you do not
Yeah.
have to worry about it. And I love everything Scotty puts out. Um, but props to Kevin for taking that leap.
Pe-
Yeah,
And,
you got a lot of little guys doing cool things in the battery scene. Like
yeah,
I'm personally friends with Travis and Yui at JY, and they're doing really cool shit. You know, absolutely. I can't say that I really know Kevin, and I don't really know the other lithium guys, but I know Travis and Yui are cool dudes. I like them. Again, I've known Scotty forever, and I honestly I really do admire Scotty as a businessman and as a person.
I
So
do
like
too.
I really stick to him, and he showed me some cool stuff when I went to visit him. Obviously, I can't say anything, but I think that people are not going to be disappointed with what they're doing.
No, I can't imagine. I
my,
cannot
my
imagine.
my brain almost exploded listening to reading Travis and Scotty go back and forth that time.
Yeah,
Oh, that was some like my screen almost melted from the fire.
yeah.
It was just
I respect both of those
oh
guys a lot.
yeah,
Travis is a really smart guy.
yeah, it was amazing.
He's weird, but I love him.
He has
But he's very intelligent.
his mustache is
Scotty is
weird.
too. Scotty's a little quieter, more reserved.
People are spoiled now, man, because they don't remember. I mean, like 10 years ago, all you had was a Optima yellow top or like a Kinetic 2400. That was
And you
like
could buy a back cap for $5,000.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I had two. Yeah. I mean, they're so spoiled now. They don't know what they missed out. I mean, what they had back then.
No.
Right.
There's so many options now that you could just. I feel like that's why everybody's louder too. There's just so many
Oh,
options now. To just.
Right.
100%.
I mean,
What are you gonna do?
they're ruined. Everybody born in the '90s is ruined. Car audio
That's
is
true.
car audio is amazing right now, and everybody's mad at each other.
Well,
I wonder.
the only thing that, I mean, in my opinion, as a guy that's in the industry, the only thing that really is upsetting to me right now is that literally everything right now is how cheap is it?
Mm.
100.
And there's always going to be a guy that's going to do it cheaper.
Oh yeah, there's a guy that doesn't have overhead or doesn't have a company. It's just ordered 1,000 pieces, and he can sell them for whatever. Yeah,
So,
it's just
Jacob, before we sign off here, we're gonna talk about the dyno.
bring in the army.
Yeah, man.
So, listen, I know I've seen your specifically the 3K do what you said at the voltage that you said
Correct.
when it came out. So now all of a sudden it's being questioned, and it just so happens to have to put up against a company that we all know and that we all love. Don't get me wrong. We all know, we all love Orion. Anybody who's been in the car radio for 5 minutes all know and love Orion. But me personally, I remember Orion from, back in the day. So everything that happened between then and now was an embarrassment. Personally, my personal opinion. So now they're trying to reestablish themselves uh, by enticing some very, very, very seasoned and established competitors with, uh, I don't know, with gear and
Right.
I don't. I mean, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing with those guys. I'm not gonna speculate. I'm just saying some very, very successful competitors are now running their gear. So
Right.
anyway, that that's a tangent. I just want to say that I've seen your amps do what you said when at the voltage that you said, and now there's a Orion is trying to reestablish themselves and has decided to go a different route with the topology,
Right.
and it's I guess impressive to people who don't know what they're looking at.
Right. You know, and I'm going to give them props for props is due. They have an amplifier that makes a lot of power that doesn't cost a lot of money, and that's great for
That's
them. You
sure,
know, we also have very different business models. You know, I don't really go to a negative town or anything like that. They have their business model. I have mine. So let's just bypass all that. You
sure.
know, so good for them. They have an amp that makes a ton of power, and a customer can buy it for a cheap price. You know, that's not necessarily our business model. So if I want to go on to address my particular product, my SCV 3000 in particular, um, as you said, you've personally seen it. I've personally seen all my testing. So when I first saw the test posted, of course I'm in the defense mode. I say, okay, that's not right. I think something might be wrong with the amplifier. Maybe there's like the test bench is messed up. You know, so I'm trying to think of a lot of theories here, like what's going on. So that I say that, and of course everyone's like, "Oh, Jacob's butt hurt. He's being an asshole." And I'm like, "No, man. Look, I've tested all this shit. Like, I'm not going to sell you something that I'm not proud of. Period. You know, so
No,
I'm not going to bring an amp to market that's only gonna do rated. You know,
which wouldn't be a sin.
right? And you know, and it's not that the product is bad. It's just that something has happened between runs where the 3000 is no longer greatly exceeds its ratings. Now it still gives you what we promised you. It just doesn't give you the great extra. Now,
Right,
granted,
the
even
sundown
with all that,
experience.
even with all that extra power, you're still talking less than 1 decibel, which is almost inaudible, if not inaudible completely.
No, less than one decimal. It's like 0.01 decimal. Yeah, you're talking a couple hundred watts. Yeah,
Right, and you know, am I upset that it went down a couple hundred watts? Absolutely. Is the customer still getting what they were promised, which is 3,000 watts at 14.4? Yes. So, and also for that matter, the particular model in question, SEV 3000, is really going to get replaced pretty soon anyway. I mean, I'm not trying to say that's the reason why this happened. Honestly, I'm pissed off, and I've been talking to the factory, and I'm like, what did you guys do? Why is it not doing what my spec calls for? That's why I defended myself. It says my spec calls for this. This is what all the first run amps did. You know, so of course I'm like, something's not right. So yeah, I'm pissed off. I'm like, explain yourselves, which I haven't gotten an answer yet. I'm still working on that. But the internet doesn't wait for anybody.
no.
The internet wants to jump to conclusions and be like, well, the 3000 didn't meet its ratings. I think Sundown has been lying to us for 12 years.
Oh my God,
They discredit everything.
that's not possible. That's
And
not
I'm like, dude, guys, look, man, I've been around the block. You know, try to find bad stuff about us. It's going to be few and far between.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
You know, and I know a lot of these new guys, they don't know me. Like the forum days, people could know me. Like they could get
Right.
on there, could see things I've said for like years. You know, these people don't know me. They don't know that. I mean, frankly, I think I'm a pretty nice guy. I think I'm a pretty honest guy, and I'm not. And I don't want to sell you something you're not going to be happy with.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the big deal. I think that's actually why and how Sundown grew so well and so fast
Yeah.
was the forum.
Yeah. Your
Because it
your
was
interaction. Yeah.
That's right.
Absolutely. You know, and
And
I was a forum guy before I started the company. I started posting the forums in the year 2000. I think TermPro was the first one. So I was on the
It's
forums for
in
6 years before I started a company.
Dude, every day. I used to be on the forums 24/7.
Me too. Me too.
Pretty much. And Caco and caraudio.com, back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And you were on there. I was like, how does this guy do it, man? He's running the company and he's on there all the time and just schooling fools, just like educating. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
let
And
me tell you why this one is this one.
My preferred method of interaction with people is education. But people try to make it hard for me now because I will try to educate somebody and they will immediately react with I'm trying to think of the best word to describe it. They'll just react aggressively.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're just a hater, bro. And I'm like, look, no, I'm just trying to provide you with information. I'm trying to tell you, for example, the guy the other day, I'm trying to explain to you how transformer ratios work. I'm trying to explain to you how your perception that it's the exact same amplifier is not quite correct. Yes, if you look at a picture of, for example, the SAZ 2500 V2 and the SCV 3000, if you look at a picture, it does look like the same amplifier.
Right.
But we changed the winding ratios in the transformers, and that caused it to produce more power at a low voltage. That's where the SCV series was born. Now, again, I want to sell the customer something that's going to be reliable, that they're going to like, they're going to be proud of, they're going to own for many years. I already have these boards that are super reliable. I'm like, I don't want to mess with this. But how can I get more power to the average dude without messing with the reliability that I have? And that's the solution that I came up with SCV.
It's a fantastic solution.
Yeah.
Because me being a 12-volt guy my whole life, my whole competition career, I never understood the allure of the high voltage amp.
Right. It made sense in a certain era, in certain classes, but really, I feel like the era of anything other than a standard 12-volt system is over.
I believe so. With the battery technology we have now, with the rise of lithium and caps and
right,
and what we have going on now, I don't believe we need it anymore. It used to be just a few years ago, short years ago.
I'm even thinking, this is slightly off topic, but like woofer technology. And again, this is one of the talking points I wanted to go over. Like, if you look at the Nightshade version 4 technology, I made a post online earlier. You guys may or may not have seen it. The Nightshade version 4 only has 2 pounds of magnet.
Yep.
It's 25% stronger than the previous model. There's 44 pounds of steel and aluminum, 2 pounds of magnet.
Gotta have it. You just put it in the right spot, right?
I did.
That's right.
I like to read a lot. So, for example, I read Einstein's original books about like relativity and special and general relativity. And, his big thing was thought experiments. That's where he came about with relativity. For example, he was thinking if a train was passing you, the guy in the train would drop the ball. To the guy in the train, the ball went straight up and down. To the casual observer, the ball was traveling at a zigzag.
That's right.
So that's where he came out with time dilation. So I think about subwoofers all the time. I'm trying to go to sleep. Can't. I'm like thinking about subwoofers. So I'm sitting there thinking about my FEA charts. And I'm like, trying to figure out the FEA charts. And a lot of times I don't think necessarily in scientific terms. I just think in basic terms. So I'm doing a lot of FEA sims on my compact Neo. And I'm thinking, all right, so if I take the Neo and I expand it outwards further, I'm not getting very much. So say, for example, if I take the Neo and I make it wider by 20 millimeters, say I gain 5%. But if I take the Neo in closer to the gap by 5 millimeters, I'm gaining more than gaining 20 on the outside. So I'm like, well, Neo is reacting differently than ferrite. It likes to be closer to the gap, hence a general radial design. But I don't like radial designs for numerous reasons. And I'm gonna.
Well,
I guess I should cover why radial designs piss me off. I'm not going to say that they're bad. I'm not going to say that they're wrong. I'm going to tell you why I don't like them. So you have a design. You have your magnet on the gap. Okay, you're exposing this magnet to damage, both thermal. So your coil detonates, which they do in SPL. You might burn out a portion of your magnet. Also, you're exposing yourself to production tolerances. Magnets have a worse tolerance than steel or anything. Also, you're exposing yourself to making an uneven gap. Like most of the radials, they're like rectangles facing a gap. And so instead of a gap being a perfect circle, it resembles like a dodecahedron or something like that, like 20-sided, whatever, however many sides. So your magnetic flux is not perfectly identical. Also, with the problem with tolerances, one magnet might be closer than the other one, so you might end up with a woofer that scrapes. Then you go on to assembly. Most of the radials in existence, when they assemble the pillars, they have one bolt. One bolt's not going to hold your pillar perfectly in place if it gets dropped or something happens. So what I came to the conclusion of, which is Nightshade version 4, now that the patent is publicly viewable, I guess I can say, I basically have a radial with a distribution ring on the inside. So you physically cannot build the motor if the magnet's out of spec. It will not slide, but it will not slide between the two pieces of steel. Can't be done. You can't build a motor with the magnet wrong. Also, the gap is symmetrical because you have your perfectly round gap with the distribution ring, and your Neo is protected. I have a heat sink on the top and the bottom of the Neo both. Then I have an aluminum ring under the basket. Then I have an aluminum basket, so the heat soaks up into the basket.
It's beautiful in its simplicity, isn't it?
It is, and I just thought about the things that pissed me off again while I was trying to go to sleep at night. And I'm like, well, I need to get the Neo closer to the gap. How can I get closer to the gap? You could do radial, but I'm like, no, radial sucks. It pisses me off. I'm not saying it necessarily sucks objectively, but subjectively to me, it sucks.
Sure. The Z is still a bad mofo.
It is a great sub. It's
So
an amazing sub.
What about the compact?
The compact, it was before I had developed the technology of the NSV4.
So
and I was like, I need to get them. Well, as of now, the compact Neo is a better SPL sub because the NS only has 2 pounds of magnet.
Well,
so
stuff some more magnet in there.
Well, I'm actually currently developing an SPL version of that technology.
Oh, that's arousing.
Yeah, I have a prototype, and it looks pretty scary and dangerous, but
I like.
So, but like I'm trying to. What I'm really trying to do is I want to scale the NS technology to lower end woofers, and it's difficult because the market is so cost oriented, Like if somebody would be willing to pay a little bit more money, I can make him a subwoofer that weighs a third as much.
Oh,
but I'm like, how am I gonna convince them that it's worth the money? And that's kind of the struggle that I face.
Well, that is the trouble that you face because that's the base of what you're selling is the price. Everyone shops from the right side of the menu, so to speak. They're not going to look at the specs or the merits of.
That's my challenge because I'm not going to play the price game because again, as we discussed earlier, somebody's always going to be cheaper. If your only reason for buying a product is price, somebody is always going to be willing to work for less than you.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't know. Yes, is Sundown a small company? Yes. Are we bigger than some people think? Also, yes. We have 15 employees. I offer a 401k to my employees. Like I'm proudly generating American jobs with a decent salary. I give my workers raises consistently. So I'm not going to battle you on price when I have people that are counting on me for their livelihood.
That's fantastic.
Bring back Paco.
Dude, Paco is swole as shit now. By the way, remember Paco?
Yeah.
Paco was the white guy. Taco was the Asian guy.
We need a screen share of the before and after.
Paco, the little white dude. He's like big as hell now. He's like a powerlifter now.
Jeez.
I hope he sees the video. I hope he says something about it.
Dude,
the first time I met him, he came to my shop to buy a ZV-1. He could barely pick it up. Now he's like squatting 500 or some shit.
What?
His build was nasty too with those was 1212s or something.
Yeah, man. I miss that dude. He was such an awkward little kid, but he's really grown up, man.
That's awesome.
And Taco, the other dude, the little Asian dude, he's a badass guy. He's got married and done all kinds. He's like a rocket scientist now at NASA or something.
Moving on up.
Yeah, dude. Well, that's what he was going to school for. But he was like, yeah, man, I just want to work for you guys for the summer. And I'm like, hell yeah.
That's awesome.
Sundown. We employ rocket scientists.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
We had him.
He was such a good dude, man. I missed that guy.
We had him
He
first.
actually, when Taco was working with the summer, Emmanuel is his name. He was actually staying at my house, and like he was such a cool dude. Like when he would wake up in the morning and get ready, like the house was like cleaner than when he showed up.
That's
I'm
how
like,
you do it as the house
I was
guest.
like, did you sleep here? He's like, yeah, man.
Old.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so
Look, so
I've met so many cool people, dude. Like, I mean, it's been totally worth it.
obviously,
Mhm.
obviously. Look, we gotta wrap this
Yeah,
up,
we're
man.
running
but
long.
Listen,
Hey, we can keep going.
tell,
Yeah.
tell us. I want to keep going. Listen, I want to keep going. Tell us what you got coming up. Tell us what you got coming up. What you need to put out there, and
In the
where
short
you,
term,
where you see
in the
Sundown
short term,
going.
in the short term, what I've got coming is this. I've got the SCV 3000 has actually already been slated to be replaced with an SAE 3000. Similarly to when we replaced the SCV 2000 with SAE 2000, what you're going to get is an amplifier that does slightly more power for slightly less money, but it's slightly bigger. So that's what we're
Yeah.
doing again for the
I'm
SAE
willing.
3000.
Yeah, that's trade-offs.
Right. So we're going to leave the SCVs to the bigger stuff. You know, our SAE line is our Chinese-made line, but those particular Chinese amps are actually designed and manufactured in a very similar method to Korean amplifiers, rather than what you would consider the standard Chinese topology, which would be more like, again, I'm not trying to be negative or anything, but like an audio pipe or something like that.
Right.
You know, which they totally have their place, and I'm not downing them or anything, but that's a more standard Chinese topology versus.
Look, people don't understand that there are some really, really solid build houses in China.
Right. JL Audio makes their amps in China, and JL Audio is one of the best companies in the world.
JL, Fosgate, hello.
You know, anyone that trashes JL pisses me off at this point in my life because I'm like, before I die or he dies, I want to meet the owner of JL Audio, Lucio Perni.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Yeah, we talked
Shout
about
out.
it. We talked
If he
about
sees
trying to
the
get
video,
him.
if Lucio Perni sees the video, I want to meet him.
We're gonna have him on the show one day.
Yeah.
Don't you worry.
Oh,
I've heard stories.
Guest. Next
I've
guest.
heard stories that this guy is really awesome. But anyway, you know, like people just don't understand. You know, like they're in their little horse blinders. I should say.
Sure.
They hear China and they just think cheaply made
Yeah.
and
Right.
just throw it to the side.
I've been to China twice, and I toured every manufacturer of every single part of my subwoofers down to the terminals. I went to the terminal supplier. They're like, "Do you want to go to the terminal supplier?" I'm like, "Yes, I do." They're like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Yes, I want to meet this guy." First of all, the terminal supplier guy had the manliest man hands of anybody in China I ever met.
As he should.
So the dude shook my hand, and I was like, "Holy shit, that's not a normal China guy hand." He's got this big bear claw, you know, like ah. So then I found out the reason for that is he actually works in the factory. He doesn't just be the boss and tell everybody what to do. He's like down in the production floor carrying the brass rods and shit over there. You know the terminals for speakers are made by hand for the most part. There's like little old ladies at the machine like machining brass rods into the two pieces of a terminal. Yeah. This is for real. I have videos on my phone. I should post them at some point.
You should.
But like they're individually making
That's
these little
crazy.
pieces of terminal.
That doesn't make any sense.
That is wild.
Yeah, it's very wild. And then so I went there, you know, and I had tea and stuff, and I checked them out, and I was like, man, this is great, you know. And I visited the magnet factory, the basket factory, the cone factory, the spider factory, you know, everyone. I visited all of them, you know, and these people build what you say based on what you're willing to pay them. You know, and I even had conversations with these guys. I'm like, so what would you do if somebody called you and said they wanted a spider for 50 cents? They're like, well, make them one.
Yeah.
I'm like, what would you do? Which is what I do. I was like, call you and make the best spider you can make. We'll make that too. It's going to be $20. I'm like, but you'd also make a 50-cent spider? Like, yeah, totally would. Because we don't want to lose the contract. So we're going to find whatever bullshit fabric we found on the hill out back, and we're going to make that 50-cent spider for that piece of shit woofer.
Just shave a goat real quick.
Totally legit. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Nuh-uh.
Right, but they know that, and they don't want to lose the sale. But they will also, if you pay them, they will make you a fantastic product.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Which
When
is what they do
when
for
I
you.
was visiting my basket factory, I saw like focal baskets being made.
So, can you get baskets in the U.S.?
You know what? This is a funny story. I had a local North Carolina company quote me for my Nightshade version 4 8 basket.
8?
Yeah,
Wait, pause for effect.
technically a 9, oversized.
Sure.
But I had a company local in North Carolina, about 2 hours from me, quote me. Their tooling cost was 25 times higher than China. Their per piece cost was 4 times higher. And then they ended up telling me that they weren't even interested in doing it.
Oh my God.
So let's say no, we cannot do baskets in America.
Yeah.
Wow.
Me. I don't know if anyone knows my association with the Savage and the DSS Smokers, but we tried everything we could to get as much as we could done
I bet
here,
you
and
did.
it is
You probably should
impossible.
just hit yourself in the dick with a hammer.
It would have been cheaper.
It would have been cheaper, easier, and less painless.
It would have been cheaper. It would have been cheaper. Oh my God. I don't understand it, man. It's like I'm walking down the street and talking to this dude and be like, I need this size and this many, and he's like, I need $5 billion.
Right.
What? Yeah.
So
That
I
doesn't
mean,
make any
dude, I have
sense.
so many stories. Like we have some new packing material that I've initially tooled for 12s and 15s in X series, like cardboard basic packing material. It took me 2 years to get some of the United States to give me a price. And I finally found a company, thank God, local to me. But if I'm tooling, for example, a single cardboard piece for like a one motor, the tooling is almost 10 grand. 10 grand.
For a cardboard piece,
Uh,
for the packaging.
Right. You know, it plays out over time when I make
Obviously.
10,000 of them.
Obviously, but
But-
still, people don't understand these when you say tooling costs. Like,
Right. So they got to
filthy
make these
rich and-
dies for the cardboard because I wanted
right.
to make cardboard like recyclable packing,
Sure.
which are X12s and X15s. I have both pieces tooled now. I still need to do X10s, X18s. I need to do ZV5 motor pieces. I need to do Nightshade motor pieces. You know, so I'm going to have $200,000 in packing tooling.
In cardboard, in cardboard.
Right.
the stuff
And
you
then
throw away.
Then the same assholes online are like, your shit's too expensive. And they say, your shit's too expensive. You need to make more shit in America. And I'm like, dude, I'm trying, man.
I'm trying.
You know, I buy all of our American made woofers. I buy all of our glue in America except for one glue. I buy my dust cap glue from China, but I have an American company trying to make me the same thing.
Tell us, what can you like absolutely 100% not buy in America? Like what? There's nothing, right? Ferrite, magnets. You cannot buy ferrite.
Cannot buy it.
You cannot do baskets here. It's not even possible.
It's crazy expensive. Like I said, 25 times tooling charge. Now let me put that in fixed numbers for you because it'll make a bigger impact. $4,000 versus $100,000.
Wait, 4,000 versus 100,000.
That's the difference in the mold charge.
Sure, I got that.
And
I
instead
can feel that.
like
Worth it.
$6 a basket, they wanted $24 a basket. And then they told me they didn't want to do it.
Why do you hate the United
What about
States?
coil?
Then they told me they didn't want to do it. And I'm like, are you people insane?
What about coils?
Coils are fantastic at Precision Econoline. I love those guys.
We love.
And you know what's really unfortunate, and I'm just put it out there because I've been drinking suburban. Those guys are handicapped right now because of health insurance laws. And if they hire more people, they're gonna have to pay all kinds of crazy bullshit.
What?
So they stick with less than 50 employees because if they hired one more person, it would cost them like hiring 20 more people.
We need to like make a petition or something.
Well, you know, before, from what my understanding is, Precision used to have 200 plus employees before the big recession. And then, of course, they had the size down and all that. You know, and I visited them, and every employee that they still have there is like senior employees. They've been there forever. They really know what they're doing. I mean, those guys honestly make the best coils in the world. Period.
They do.
But they're bootstrapped by some bullshit laws in America.
So what about spiders? Where are we at with
Spiders. I'm currently working on trying to make spiders in America. Although I think that the American company that sells spiders, I think the spiders are actually manufactured in Mexico.
I mean, it's better than
Close.
It's closer.
Yeah, it's closer.
Honestly, it's better than
Same
China.
same
So
continent.
I'm working with those guys right now. My goal is to retool all of my spiders for all the overs we build in America to be made by those guys. So worst case scenario, I'm actually giving an American company money, whether they make them in America or Mexico or whatever the case may be.
Right.
And for my next generation surround technology, which I call FAST,
I like it.
I would like to make it in America, but the current incarnation of the technology requires injection molded santoprene, which all of the American companies sold their machinery to China a decade ago. So American surround companies can only manufacture heat pressed foam. So, and I'm not sure if my fast technology will work in heat press foam, but we're doing a lot of FEA simulations right now. I have an engineer that I work with soft part FEA stuff, and he's going through and seeing if there's any way we can make it work. Because I would really like to do them in America. I really would.
I know, because you and I talk more often than the average person. I know that your desire is to do these things as well as you can.
I have a funny story too about America stuff. Another one. For my Nightshade version 4, the outside part is basically a big cylinder of steel. So I've gotten online and I've sent my drawing for the Nightshade version 5 out. Of course, I'm always way ahead, right?
Right.
So I wanted to get quotes on the cylinder, and I've gotten quotes that range from almost the same as I pay in China to 10 times what I pay in China.
That doesn't surprise me.
And then the one company that quoted me 10 times is the only one that followed up. And they're like, "Oh, Mr. Fuller, is there anything we can do to help you with your quote?"
Right.
And I'm like, "No, you can't do anything for me. You're 10 times more expensive." Like, you want to charge me $650 for the outside cylinder?
I don't understand.
And that was, I even input my quantity. I said, I want 1,000 pieces.
Right.
And they sent me back, that'll be $650,000, Mr. Fuller.
Look, for anyone
Make the check out.
anyone who thinks he's bullshitting, I can confirm, because I looked into the same thing, and I was like, what if I order 1,000? What if I order 100? It doesn't matter.
Right.
They can't do it.
I'll tell you what the other problem I ran into, and you might have ran into this too, Taylor. I want, frankly, the pole in the Nightshade version 4 is 1006 steel. The rest of it is 1008.
Yeah.
Most of these American companies will only quote you 1018,
Right.
which is not magnetic enough for the Nightshade version 4.
Right.
The Nightshade version 4 requires minimum 1008, right? And so when they're quoting me 1018, I'm going to have a decrease in performance for more money. For what? For 6 people on I Just Want to Bang to be like, "Oh, it's made in America now."
That's right.
That's the highlight
Take
of the
that
show.
internet troll.
That's the highlight of the
Trying to
show.
bring you better product. Holla. Jesus.
I mean, if you want to pay me $10,000 for Nightshade version 4, I'll make the whole damn thing in America.
That's right.
By
For real.
hand.
I'll go dig up
You
my
will-
own knee out in my backyard right now.
For a 10K woofer, I will come out there and chisel that son of a bitch out myself.
Go get a-
I'll be
Hey,
like this.
I just bought 60 acres. There's got to be rare earth on it somewhere.
In-person Minecraft.
We dig deep enough, we'll find it.
Yeah.
Oh my god. That is so bad. And so true. It's horrible. It's horrible.
Hey, we got to keep this shit going for at least another hour. Come on.
Hour? We got that. I think if we bring up another subject, we probably could.
I ain't even tired yet, man. Come on.
I need a refill if you would skip one.
Machine.
Bullshit amongst yourselves.
I had to pregame the bourbon a bit because I'm not like a particularly good guy at giving live streams, but
No, you're a particularly good guy at explaining things that people don't necessarily understand, which is why we all love you, especially from the forum days.
Mm.
Because
thank you, sir.
you managed to take a very complex subject and break it down into terms that we could all understand and learn from. And I think that's why we all love Sundown today.
I
Hmm.
And
think
it's
honestly, you really hit it, Taylor. I have a really hard time thinking of myself as a particularly smart person because I'm very self-critical. But I think that one gift that I do have is the ability to boil down a lot of complex knowledge into a simple explanation.
absolutely. And if anybody out there that's watching this is not a member of any of the car audio classified or car audio forums, uh, go and just search Sundown Z with a Z.
Hey, you know why? You know why Sundown Z exists?
Because
That's I asked you that earlier.
Sundown was taken.
Sundown Z because the Sundown regular was already taken.
No,
That's why my
Yeah.
O1. That's why my O1 exists.
Yeah,
hilarious.
because regular Sundown was already taken, so I had to be Sundown Z.
Oh, that's hilarious. I thought that had something to do with why everything was called Z.
No,
Or maybe
it
it
was just
does.
a total coincidence in that case.
That is classic. Sundown Z.
Sundown.
But yeah, you just search any of the posts that Jacob's made on any of the forums and prepare your anus, for some learning.
I need you to get back on the magic box and the Jeep stuff, man.
Dude,
I need more
have
testing.
I have 4 woofers built for the 18 Magic Box. They're ready to go.
That Jeep is crazy.
Dude, yeah.
Dude, it's such a piece of shit. I love that Jeep though. Dude,
I was starting to buy
let me
one.
tell you, it's the longest I've ever owned a vehicle. I bought the Jeep. No, I didn't even buy it. Let me back up. I didn't buy it. There was a kid. There was a customer. His name's Logan. I can't remember his last name right now. Hope he forgives me if he sees the video. But he traded me the Jeep for a sub and an amp.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Yeah. And the Jeep was actually my daily driver for a while early on in Sundown because I didn't have any money. And so I would drive this Jeep every day. And it's just such a piece of shit, though. And so me and Brandon we had to fix it sometimes to get to work. We're like, the freaking Jeep won't start. We got to get to work. So how are we going to get to work? And I'm like, well, we're going to damn fix this shit in the driveway.
That is
So,
awesome.
so I've had it ever since. And then I sold it to an employee of mine, Jimmy. I hope Jimmy's watching this. So I've had the Jeep for 8 years. I sold it to Jimmy. Jimmy broke the damn Jeep in like 2 weeks.
Of course he did.
He blew the whole engine. And then it sat there forever. And then Jimmy was like, hey, man, you want to buy the Jeep back? And I was like, fuck yes, I do.
Yes, I do.
I love that Jeep. It's my favorite vehicle that's ever existed. If I had $1 billion, you know what I would do? I would put a Bugatti engine in that Jeep.
Dude, I think we all feel about some of our vehicles that way. And I love that because that Jeep is like synonymous with Sundown.
Yeah.
Magic boxes.
On the forum, on the forums.
The Jeep is the shit, man.
From the day one, dude, every time the Magic Box. If anybody says Magic Box, it's the Sundown
Hey,
Jeep.
let me tell you something about the Magic Box. Me and my brother built that box together. Most people don't know that I have a brother. My brother, me and him built that together originally for 2 DD9510s.
Oh.
Yeah,
because I didn't have subwoofers yet.
Sure.
And then that was when I did the first 150 I'd ever done at an SPL show with 2 DD9510s.
There it is.
Yeah, he just posted a
Jacob Brother's contribution to my thread on I Just Want to Bang the other day.
In my brother's pickup truck. My brother had a crew cab pickup truck at the time. My boys are here now. So we did our first 150. And so then when I was ready to start testing nightshades and stuff, I tore the baffle off and I put a 15 baffle on it. But see, me and my brother had done a lot of calculations. We did a lot of math. My brother's a very smart guy. He's a security analyst for Wachovia Bank now.
How's he feel about crypto?
We had done a lot of math, and we're like, okay, this is the distance. The woofer's cone needs to be from the port, and this is the port, and this and that. And so then when I put the 15 baffle, I did the same. And so that was the original Magic Box. And then I did the math again for an 18, but I accidentally screwed up, and I was an inch off. and it changed the frequency 1 hertz. So the one for the 18 is slightly less efficient, but an 18 has so much more displacement, it's louder.
I love it.
Because I totally cut the hole an inch wrong.
Oh my God, that is fantastic.
But yeah, me and my brother, we built the original Magic Box in his shed at his house for his pickup truck for 2 DD subs. And we were so happy. And again, like, I'll never take anything from DD. They're an amazing company. We hit our first 150.
And you know what's funny is you and DD, or Sundown and DD, are so like close. It's surprising y'all don't bump up against each other very often.
I mean, we do, but I don't know how they feel about me. But I respect them as a company. And most of the people that work there, there's one guy that works there that I don't particularly get along with, but I'm not going to mention his name. The same thing goes for Orion. There's one guy that works there I don't like, but for the most part, I like everyone else that works there.
Sure.
And in fact, again, like I told you guys in private, I spoke to a lot of the Orion employees at finals because a lot of them speak Spanish, and I spoke to them in Spanish because I know it. And I feel like they were really awesome guys. I feel like we made friends. I'm like, hey guys, we all make speakers. Let's be cool together.
Yeah.
And again, like, I feel like DD is the same way, except for the one guy.
That one dude.
The one guy.
That one dude.
He can eat a dick.
And back in the day, when I was in college, I wrote a paper in one of my classes, a persuasive paper about subwoofer distortion, and I interviewed Steve Milton, which doesn't work at DD anymore, about their design philosophy. And then I interviewed Manville Smith at DD, or at JL. Manville Smith at JL.
Yeah.
About JL's philosophy about distortion. Then I interviewed Dan Wiggins about his philosophy, and then I wrote a paper based on that. And when Steve was at DD, Steve totally answered all my questions, and they had their philosophy. Their philosophy is very different, but they have their philosophy, which I totally respect. They're like, this is what we believe. This is how we make our subwoofers. And anyone that has that philosophy, anyone that has their philosophy on subwoofers, I respect that.
Yeah.
Like, for example, Taylor, you might be more familiar with this than a lot of people. Murphy at Tantric.
Yeah.
I like him. I do.
The name that should not be spoken.
As a person, I liked him a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And he had his own philosophy about subwoofer design.
Yeah.
And I thought that was great, And I even stood up for him on forums back when especially the SHD. He posted things. They're like, "Oh, it's a TC5200," and the first thing I was like, "No, it's not. It has an undercut pull."
Right.
And then that's when me and him first started collaborating, and I was like, "So he has his own philosophy, so I respect that." DD has her own philosophy. I respect that. Nick Wright at Incriminator Audio, who I consider one of my best friends to this day, has his own philosophy. I sell what I consider to be the best woofer. He sells what he considers to be the best woofer. Right? We're both very proud of what we do.
I'm very proud of what both of y'all do too.
Yeah. So Nick is like one of my best friends ever, and like a lot of people would not know that, because we sell competing products. But like, I mean, we don't agree on what the best woofer is, right? But he's smart, I'm smart. We respect one another. Like, hey, your shit's cool. He says, hey, your shit's cool. I say, hey, your shit's cool. And then we hang out.
I'm most proud of, like, if you had to put one woofer like on your headstone right now,
ever.
SA-V2. I knew you were gonna say that. I knew it. All right, so
because that was my first basket tooling.
I knew it.
And that was me, because I was just, when I started making eights, I was just tired of everyone else's eights being pieces of crap.
Which sizes?
And I was like, how can I, the boys are here. So how can I make eights a superior product? And so the S8V2, this is a funny story as well. The spider for the S8V2 was my first proprietary spider design.
Oh!
And I actually drew that spider on a piece of notebook paper
Oh, that's fantastic.
by hand and wrote all of the measurements on a piece of notebook paper
I
and
love
sent it to the Chinese guys. And then when I sent it for clipboard, it was completely linear,
Nailed it.
which was a problem for SPL.
Obviously.
Back in the day, Sean used to do a lot of my SPL, and Sean is the king of eights for my eights.
That's right.
So the original SA8 had a very nonlinear spider, so it had a behavior that was beneficial for SPL.
Yeah.
So when the SA8V2 came in, when we first tested it, it was like a million dB quieter. I don't remember how many dB it was.
Man, it was bad.
So what we end up having to do, we stack 6 linear spiders. So the static FS was same as the FS they were trying to peak at. And they ended up doing the best score he's ever done.
Right.
Because we put 7,500 watts on an 8.
Right. If anyone watching doesn't know Sean, he's talking about Sean Ballinger. He did a 54, I think, with a single SA8.
Crazy
He's
scores.
He's
I've
got
been
me
chasing
blocked.
that number ever since.
He's got me blocked.
Boys, what are you doing?
He's got me blocked.
Oh, he's got everybody blocked.
I didn't even say nothing. He blocked me because I was friends with other people commenting on it.
I'm not gonna even ask Jacob what. Actually, I am gonna ask. What is your and Sean's relationship?
So, I mean, you can ask me. Me and Sean, actually, I've known Sean longer than I've had my company.
Wow.
Yeah, so I've known him longer than I had my company. We were fellow forum guys. We had some get-togethers together. And I'm not going to lie, Sean's a guy that is an acquired taste.
I've always gotten along with him. I don't understand why people don't like him.
Well, this is the thing about Sean. He says whatever the hell he's thinking.
Sure.
And you will not like him unless you return the favor.
I know some people like that.
So if Sean says, "Hey, you suck," you're like, "Hey, fuck you, Sean."
Block.
Then he'll laugh and you'll be friends. Right? So he's not a bad dude per se.
No, he's not.
He's just not a normal guy.
No, he's got a pretty long block list.
I would love to know that number.
I would
I want to see the list of scrolls.
But I'll tell you, it's probably around the same size as another person we all know.
And again, I'm not going to say anything bad about Sean. He's just a dude. He's different. He's a different
I'm not going
guy.
to say anything bad about Sean either. I was personally curious y'all's relationship because we've
known each other forever. We've known each other forever. We've done a lot of testing together. We spent a lot of time together. We've traveled together.
He's obviously very smart. He's obviously very talented.
Oh, he's very intelligent. He's very intelligent. He's a total asshole.
Obviously.
And I like the guy. He's a total dick.
Dude, we all have that one friend who's a total dick. And mine...
And they don't even know it.
Brett Laga.
Yeah. Who's that guy?
Skip one right here.
That guy?
I got ahead of the game. I hired the guy. My asshole is Brandon, my number 2 guy.
Yeah?
Does
Derek fit into all that?
Do you guys know Brandon?
No, not quite.
Do we?
Brandon Fazenberger? No.
Sparks,
yeah, that's what I meant. Not Fazenberger.
I don't really send him out in public unless somebody's being a real dick.
You let him loose off the chain.
And then I just I tell him, like, you know what, Brandon, I'm done. You talk to him. Because I'm a very nice guy and I don't like to have a confrontation.
How does Derek fit into all this?
Derek is technically just our shipping dude. Technically.
He's been around with y'all forever too,
Really?
But Derek started out as a customer, and Derek's story of becoming a customer is actually a great story. Derek originally, he was a very heavy Rockford Fosgate guy.
Sure.
And then he bought
Why wouldn't he be?
He bought an SZ 1500 refurbished from DVR. Because we have our refurb program, and we've always done that. And then he became a big fan. And I might have forgot some of the details, but I remember the first time I met Derek in person. He came to the shop. I didn't know him very well, but he had a Nightshade version 1. He had a problem, and he said he had a show tomorrow. And I said, look, there's no way I can build this speaker for you today. So I just grabbed him a brand new speaker, and I gave it to him. And I said, take this to the show. And he was really impressed by that. And then so from that point on, we became pretty close. Derek's not a very outspoken guy, but he's a very serious guy.
He is.
So if he says something, I take it seriously. He doesn't say a lot, but if he does say something, I take it seriously.
I've only met him a couple of times or spoken with him a couple of times, and I spoke with him the last time I did. I was like, I didn't know if he was mad at me or not. And,
you might think that. You might think that he's just not he doesn't speak unnecessarily.
That's right. And there is absolutely 100% nothing wrong with that.
So like Derek is a guy that if he talks to you, you know that what he's telling you is what he really thinks.
That's right. And,
so he's not gonna bullshit with you. He's not gonna bullshit with you. He's not gonna tell you that you're awesome when he really thinks you suck. If you suck, he's gonna say you suck. If you're awesome, he's gonna be like you're awesome. And that's just how he rolls.
That's right.
And so I really respect that about him. So he works for me. He's my shipping guy, and I mean he just takes care of business.
What do you got? 50 people at Sundown?
15.
15.
Wow.
So I mean, in the grand scheme of things, tight knit family. I love it.
And a lot of people that work for me are family. My main contact person is my mom, Debbie.
Whoa, that's awesome.
If you call Sundown and you talk to Debbie, that's my mother.
No way.
Yeah.
Who knew? How many people out there knew that? That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm calling Sundown tomorrow.
Yeah.
If you talk to Brian is a longtime friend of 2 of my cousins. That's how I know Brian. Brian went to school with 2 of my cousins. One cousin, Thomas, works for me right now in the build room. My other cousin, Donnie, that knows Brian, is about to start working for me.
I love it.
And if you go even further, in the build room, my wife builds subwoofers.
No, she doesn't. Stop.
Yes, she does, and she's one of the fastest subwoofer builders we have.
Look, listen. If your new YouTube channel does not have your wife pregnant, I might add.
She's very pregnant right now.
If we don't see a video of your very pregnant wife building some awesome subwoofer
time lapse
tomorrow on the new YouTube channel, which is what?
Unofficial Sundown Audio.
Unofficial Sundown Audio. We need to see that immediately.
So, and then her best friend is one of our other builders. And yes. And then let's see. Let me think about what else we got going on.
It's too much. It's too much.
Brandon that works for me, he's my first employee, has been one of my best friends since I was 17 years old.
Oh man.
Derek was a customer. He became an employee. Brian was a family friend. My mother works there. Gary Fletcher, you guys know Gary Fletcher. Mm-hmm. He was a customer. Gary works for us now. Gary's awesome. We have a saying now. If you have some shit that doesn't work, you need to Gary the hell out of it until it works.
Yes, indeed.
Because Gary will make anything work.
I call it T. Faden, but yeah, Gary works.
You Gary the hell out of it. So another guy, Jimmy that works for us. He's our big ogre guy. I rode the school bus with Jimmy starting in 8th grade. I've known Jimmy a big portion of my life.
That's amazing. That is amazing.
So Nick Lemons works in my building.
Does he?
I've known Nick has a space in my building he works in. I've known Nick since college. So I'm very, very tight knit with my people.
I love that.
And the Sundown Auto is a family friend business. My accountant works with me. My accountant is not direct family. My accountant is a lady, and her and her husband they're from Congo, Africa. But they actually are basically adopted family members to us. Like if my kids have a birthday party, they're invited. So this is my accountant that works for me. They're like adopted family.
That's awesome.
And let me see who else works for me. One of our other testers, we interviewed Hunter already as a tester. One of our other testers is Paula, which is in English Paula. She's basically like my daughter, but she's my wife's cousin, and she's lived in our household for the last 8 years. So I consider her my daughter, and she works for me in the QC department. Her brother also works for us in the prep department. He lived with us for a while. He's moved out on his own. He's got his own family now, but I consider him family. I consider him like my son.
It's a family business.
Yeah.
It's like an old school Italian.
Just to bring it back to the very beginning of this video, every sub and every amp goes through the Sundown family.
Yeah, we test it, we check it out, we make sure it's okay. And if anybody has any questions, if Hunter has a question, if Jimmy has a question, if Paula has a question, they come to me and they're like, Jake, is this okay? And then chances are, if that is not perfect, I'll be like, that shit is not okay. Do not send that to my customer.
That's amazing.
And then sometimes they're like, it's close. And I'm like, no. Put that shit in the yard sale.
What about like the stuff that you see on like woofers, etc.? Like the crazy big sites that everyone know it, like Amazon or whatever. All that stuff comes through you.
Etc. does most of our Amazon.
So all that stuff comes through you first. It doesn't just go straight to them and.
Absolutely not. We will absolutely not do that. And they've asked. They said, "Can you send shit straight to us?" I'm like, no. We will absolutely check every single piece before I put my name on it. Every single piece will be looked at by somebody. Is somebody occasionally going to make an error? Yes. But am I 99% more comfortable with a customer getting a product that somebody has at least looked at? Absolutely. Because I will not sell you something that I'm not proud of. Period.
Yeah, you know that? Did you know all that stuff came through?
No, that's crazy.
Even my cheapest woofer, cheapest woofer, my LCS. My LCS sells for like $85 retail. We test every one of them things.
Oh, those two?
Every one of them.
Honestly, everyone always talks about, only the X and up gets built there, blah, blah, blah.
Those are the ones we build, but we test everything.
Everything in-house.
Everything. I will not the only thing we don't test is the components. Because that particular factory, it's a different relationship. But anyway, we have less than like a 0.1% whatever with those guys. But that's why our components are not cheap.
Right.
Because that particular factory runs their operation a different way, and so I can trust them a little bit more. So if I have any doubt, if I have a single 1% doubt about anything, we're going to test it.
Skip, what was your first Sundown experience?
It was a 1500. The 1500.
The amp?
Yeah, just running it into the ground, just
killing it,
zero, just whatever, and it just never broke.
Right, because this was before we had lots of batteries and alternators.
Oh,
and
yeah,
shit,
yeah.
right? Just tear it up.
I'm gonna take a quick hiatus. I gotta use the restroom.
Do that, and Skip and I gotta talk shit about you while you're gone.
Do it.
I'm totally about to buy Orion after this.
Dude, Sundown.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
That's crazy.
I gotta get that Orion.
I can't believe he checks every single one. You know how long it takes me to open a box that's mine?
Dude, I'm saying some people charge to open a box and
Yeah,
put it back in. You know what I'm saying?
Who does
Some people
that?
charge to do that. I'm just saying.
Dude, but that part alone, not even testing it, I would just get pissed. I would just be like, nope, I quit.
Just all day.
All
day, every day.
Man, I can't. That is fascinating.
I did not know that.
No.
And you and I have been on the forums a long time.
That's what I'm saying.
Seriously.
This was a good show because nobody knew a lot of this stuff.
No one. How does he not just say that?
Yeah.
That should be a signature or something. We test everything.
Yeah. How do you not test just half? All right, if half is good, fine. The other pallets are fine. Test one pallet.
What cracks me up is one of the longest threads on the bullshit the other day
Mhm.
was one guy was like, I'm QC or QA or whatever
Yeah,
for
yeah.
$1 billion company, and if we don't test more than 10%, then blah blah blah. But Jake is testing 100%. What's up now?
Right.
You know,
There's no
that's
excuse now.
crazy.
There's no excuse.
None. And the
That's,
fact that it's all like family members
yeah.
and
That's scary too. I
people that
didn't.
he's had a long relationship with, and
Yeah.
and people that he's formed relationships with.
Right.
You know, we all knew that we loved Sundown previously, but
Right.
there's some next level shit.
Oh man. It you can't even explain it.
So in summation, I will be buying the Orion.
Yeah.
3. Hey, Jacob.
Oh, the
Hey!
HCCA. What was it? Link.
Just to give my quick little thoughts on that. I'm not going to dwell on it too much, but this is not new. Like we've had full bridge amps for quite a while now, you know. So this debate versus Sundown versus Orion has been going on a very long time before the name was Orion. It was Sundown
yeah.
versus Terramps or Sundown versus Sound
Versus
Digital.
whatever.
Right. Any of the Stetson before it was cool, you know.
Hmm.
So, and you know who's still standing and who still
Right.
has a pretty clean reputation, and that's
Right.
that's Sundown. Not
Right.
that the other guys aren't still around. We just know the failure rates.
Yeah. But look how many came up that were huge. I mean, like, not bashing them, but Tantric. They came up and blossomed huge, and
Yeah.
now just nowhere. You know. I mean, you can't longevity. You can't fake that. You know.
Right.
No.
So, I mean, my philosophy is I'm building a long-term company. I'm not trying to battle people on price.
Right.
I'm not doing that. I'm trying to build a company that's going to be here. And a lot of people don't know about the way that we stand behind our products. So, say for example, we have a 2-year warranty on our products to start with. Most companies are 1 year or less. Considering we're in a relevant discussion, you have the Orion SPL, which has a 60-day warranty.
Whoa.
It's like a used engine from a junkyard.
Yeah, it has a 60-day warranty if installed by yourself. You can Google it yourself. You can pull up the PDF. You can find their warranty. If you install it yourself, you're not an authorized dealer. You have a 60-day warranty.
That makes sense. And a lot of people bring up the fact that they were at Slamology or wherever it was for tech support, repairing amplifiers or repairing subwoofers. And I love that. I love the old school presence because that used to be how it was, right? Back in the day, like manufacturers were at all the big shows. But these days, they don't need to be because shit doesn't break that often.
Right. Well, my opinion on this is I don't think that anyone should be negative about their presence at finals. I think that their presence at finals is a total positive, and I think that people should give them props for that rather than negative.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. I'm not trying to bring them down for that at all. 100%.
Right.
You should be
But
there.
a lot of people have, and they shouldn't be talked down upon for offering that.
No.
They should, things
Can
should
you
be
go get him,
objective.
Mindy?
People
I'm
shouldn't
still
be
doing my little podcast thing.
talking shit
they
for
can't
no
see you or
reason.
nothing, but he's sleeping right
And
on
you
me.
know what? I heard that maybe they were
quickly. And bring me another cold water.
supporting other
Nobody can see
companies,
you. But
subwoofers and
he has
or
a poop diaper
amplifiers.
right there. He
I don't know
literally took it
anything
off
about
some
that,
kind of way. Just running
honestly.
around the house naked.
I don't know.
See it.
I don't know. I just
It's in
heard
this
that
trash can.
on the internet, so I don't know how true it is.
But
He likes to do that.
Where did Skip go?
I don't know. That's curious. I wonder if maybe he got tapped.
Hey-yo!
Hey-yo!
There he is.
Oh,
Well, look,
the kid's peeing on me.
we should probably wrap this up. I would stay here talking all night with Jacob Fuller.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have a part 2.
Yeah.
We'll do it again.
Yes,
We definitely
absolutely.
need to do this again. But Jacob, anything you want to plug before we go, brother? Or what you got coming down the pipe, or any parting words? Let the people have it.
I mean, the most exciting thing for me right now is Nightshade version 4, honestly.
Can you not give Ronnie a Nightshade 8, please? I'm tired of seeing his numbers. Don't.
I'm working on it. I'm
No,
working on
no,
it.
no. Do not. No, don't give it to him. Don't.
He's being serious.
Don't
I have
give.
the basket patent pending right now.
Like, just let him figure out something else. I'm
Right.
tired of seeing his high numbers for tiny little subs.
No, it's happening. So the Nightshade D455.
4 or
obviously,
5, whichever one.
right? And what kind of amps you got coming? You got the
The
little
only,
ones,
the
right?
only really new amps I
Like
have
the
coming
little
is
minis?
short. Yeah, I have the Mini 500. I have a Mini 40x4. And I have an SAE 3000 I'm working on. That's a short term. Long term, I'm working on some like smaller US made stuff, but that's like, 3+ years.
I love that. I love that it's coming down the pike, though. I love it. Skip,
Yeah, man. I don't have nothing
what
else.
you got?
I was worthless this podcast, dude. Y'all too smart
No.
for me. Y'all are seriously, like, I'm gonna have to rewatch this 4 or 5 times. I'm not even joking.
No,
Like, just learn stuff.
I'm telling. Well, I just wanted to hear Jacob tell us all about it.
Dude, there's a lot of stuff I learned that, I mean, it's. I think I'm gonna go through this entire video and make timestamps so you can point out because
Yeah.
we talked about a lot of crap, but just some of the key points of like Sundown period. Like
Yeah,
what
for
it,
sure.
man. Nobody knows that. There's no way nobody
No.
knew that.
That's what's killing me right now is that you and I have both been on the forums a long time with Jacob right there because he was very active and we didn't know a lot of it.
No.
Like a lot.
No.
So
And you know how easy
Anyway.
how easy it is to brag about that, and you just never brought it up till right now. Like
Yep.
you could just throw that in somebody's face so easily and kill their whole argument, and it's just
or maybe he just made all this shit up.
he did.
just for our podcast.
Absolutely.
No way.
Your mom does not answer the phones. Stop it.
Hey, call her. Ask for Debbie tomorrow.
Hey, put the number out there. What is it?
828-459-1980.
One more time.
828-459-1980.
Radio
Ask for
plug. Ask for
Ask for
Debbie.
Debbie. You talk to a really nice lady. That's my mom.
Yeah. There we
Man,
go.
yeah.
Call Sundown. Talk to Jacob's mom.
Tell
Jacob's mom. That sounds like it needs a song.
Yeah.
Jacob's mom.
It's like Jesse's mom.
Jacob, it has been an
Yeah,
absolute
dude.
pleasure, man.
Mind blown.
And, I can't tell you how much that we appreciate you coming on the podcast. And
Yeah.
until next time, brother.
Yeah. It's amazing. Part 2.
Let's do it again, man.
Stay in touch.
Absolutely.